Welcome to Mobility Club. We are going to be working today on what we call PNF, or proprioceptive facilitation. I mess this up every time I say it. But what we're working on are active stretches. The goal is to increase end ranges of motion. So creating end range of motion, or getting, I should say, to the end range of motion is going to help you create more space, more mobility. Focus today is going to be on hips, shoulders. We're going to start off with a 10-minute flow, warm things up, get you into it. Let's get started. First part here, as I said, 5-minute flow. We're going to move through this fairly quickly, so we're not going to spend as much time going through this. So you might want to watch me do one or two and then afterwards jump in. But if you can do them by sound, just hear me cue you on them, then you're good to go. All right. So let's start in. Flexion extension through the spine. I want you to focus not only on getting that flexion extension through the spine, but thinking about the shoulder blades separating or protracting, okay, as we get into that cat, and then retracting. And up and down. Get those cracks if you can. 2, 1, T-spine rotations. I want to push through the ground. Reach up with the hand to the sky. Alternating. Up. Rotate. Another 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the hips down one side. Get some rotations through the spine. The lower bias. Another 4, 3, 2, 1. Child's pose. The rock. Sink the hips back on top of the toes, butt down to the heels. Moving left and right. Get those fingers as far forwards as you can. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Also important part here. So breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can be vocal, but the breath work, signaling your body that you are in a relaxed state. You're ready to get into these stretches. 2, 1, pull forwards. Go to some loaded extension. Point the toes, allow your hips to sag to one side, hip sag to the other side. From here, we pop up into a down dog. Hips up, heels down, press the chest to the feet, alternate. Foot pressing into the ground, pedal it out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back down into that loaded extension. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Sink into it a little bit more. Okay, we're going to go into some hip wipers. Flip over and back. We're going to be coming back to these. We get into some more, as I said, concerted efforts with this mobility. So really focusing on this position. Okay, note how the legs come up off the ground at the same time. They touch the ground at the same time. Belly button, chin, chest pointing forwards. 2, 1. Let's go into some figure 4s, some reach, rotation, cross leg position. Figure 4, reach, rotation. One more set. Figure 4, reach, rotation. Into the frog. Feet out wide. Sink back. Get a little pulse action here. Loosen up through the hips. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Keeping the spine straight. Thinking about a good squat position with the spine. Okay, so you're not rounding, not twerking at the bottom here. Knees out wide, find an even stretch. Continue to move them if you need to. And we're going to sink back, sink the butt down to the heels. Just sort of move left and right. Make sure I've got my center position. I'm going to thread the needle with one side, reach as far as I can, and then come up and open. Reach, up, open. One more, and open. Other side. Reach, open. Last one. Frog hammies. Kick one leg out. Sink down into the heel. so rotate in the heel, sink down into the hips. 3, 2, and 1. Other side. Sinking down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Kneeling position. Okay, want to lift up, feel stretch through the hip flexors, and then hamstring, straighten out, come up through the hip flexors, come down through the hamstring, up, 3, 2, 1. Okay, next one. We're going to imagine there's a wall right here. So I'm reaching against the wall. This arm comes up along the wall. I have to rotate as the arm comes over the wall. Okay, and just think about that. The side, the same arm as the side of the leg that's forward. I'm going to rotate over the wall. Now, once you get this motion down, reach back as far as you can. Now the other arm comes into it. So I'm going to open up. The other arm just opens and closes. Opens and closes. I want to reach back as far as I can, come back as far as I can, because again, if there was a wall here, you'd be able to push against it. And then the other one, I want to reach back, touch the wall, come back. 2, 1, come back to center. All right, next side. So let's go into our reach up, hip flexors, reach down, hamstrings. Reach up, hip flexors, reach down, hamstrings. Reach up, hip flexors, 2, and 1. All right, contours. So I'm opening up. I think I get that wall. Now it's on the other side. I'm going to come up, over, tighter on this side, reach back, up, over, come back. 3, 2, 1. All right, onto the ground. A little scorpion, little prep, reach. Foot comes over to the hand. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rotate on your back. Iron cross. Rotate. Foot comes up. Foot comes up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. 2 more. Back on your stomach. Well, on your, at least into a prone position. Loaded beast. Knees off the ground. Let's front step this forwards. Loosen up the hips a little bit more now. Loaded beast, front step, forwards. Into the nose. Out through the mouth. In, back. Exhale, forward. Okay, heart rate's going to come up here a little bit. It can get a little bit warmer. Another 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, standing up, shaking it out. And let's go into a low squat. Okay, I've got my heels elevated here just to work on this bottom position, hanging out at the bottom. Heart rate come down a bit. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, and for those of you that are still working on getting this low squat position, move the heel wedge out now. You can hold on to something in front of you if you're falling back. Okay, I'm just going to pedal heels, 1 up, 1 down. Slowly get my way down to this position. In through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, down at the bottom here as I work on this passive squat. I'm going to get my head, go into some rotations for the neck, switch directions. All right, hanging out down here. Now I'm noticing, especially in this position right now, ankles are preventing me from, I'm normally able to get a little bit further forwards. My ankles are a little stiff. So what's great about doing this barefoot as well, if you do this with shoes, shoes are going to give you a heel lift, and although it will help you get down to this position, you're not going to get the true sense of how your ankles are doing. You want to be able to hold this position at the bottom without feeling like you're falling back. That's the goal. It might be a long-term goal. If you're holding on to something right now, that's fine. Work on this passive position. 3, 2, 1, and standing up. All right, good. So a little general prep there, get things going. Now we're going to move into these PNF stretches. All right. On your butt here, we're coming back to the wipers. Now with the wipers, we're going to do them with a purpose. I was alluding to this earlier. Let's start down with your knees, okay, and legs down onto the ground. Now what I want you to focus on is just lifting the one up, nice and slow. Get up as high as you can. Think about getting as far as you can while keeping this knee down on the ground. Now the next thing I want you to do is slowly bring up the other one while simultaneously pushing the knee out. So I come up to my top position here, and now I want to come down. Okay, we're going to follow this rotation. Okay, slowly getting into it. It really is about finding these positions. When I say concerted effort, we're not rushing through these. We're not going to do a lot today on each one. We're just going to get exposed to each one, to each of these stretches. Okay, knee down while I'm actively pushing down to the ground. So this is a hard one to explain, okay, but I want to come on the other side now. I'm in my opposite wiper side now. I'm going to lift this knee up. I want to lift up as high as I can while pushing this knee down into the ground. Get up as high as I can, push that foot down, keep creating space. And now other leg comes up while I continue to push out. So really it's going to be, challenge is going to be on this foot, keeping it out until I get to center. Okay, and now I want to bring this leg back down outside of the foot while keeping this knee at the top. Okay, this and that, at least you can see me on this one. Knee down onto the ground. And then other side. Okay, we prepare these hips. Okay, I'm slowly down, internal rotation to that hip. And I come back up. Up, up, up. Get as high as I can. And then the other knee, you can feel it almost coming off the ground. We want to keep it down there and then bring it up as I push knee out to the top. Foot down. If I need to readjust, I can do that. And then down. Okay, start with this one because one, the wipers are a familiar position for you. Okay, if you've been doing these with me. 2, helps prepare the hips. Okay, those tight feelings, almost like a pinching that you're starting to feel. Okay, we want to work on finding that. Then that is the end range, and this is what we're working towards. It's going to be uncomfortable in these positions, and that's okay because that's what we want. Down. Keeping this knee at the top, and then slowly come down into internal rotation. Good. Okay, so that's our first part, the wipers. Let's go back and forth here. Loosen those things up. 2, 1. Good. Shaking that out with the hips. Just get a little rotation here. Okay, next part we're going to go into is called a prone swimmer. So we've been doing a couple of these in classes. We're going to be focusing on them a little bit more right here. So we're going to start first, chin on the ground. Okay, comfortably down onto the ground. I'm going to get my hands up as high as I can over top of my back. Okay, hands as high as I can over top of my back. So in this position here, I want to then lift the hands up and reach over top as high as I can without touching the ground, straightening the elbows. It's my arch nemesis. Overhead, lock out those elbows, palms up, thumbs out, and then come back, hands up nice and high. Reach back, up high, overhead, like so. Come up, over. Okay, find the end range, which is at the top. Get my forehead down now. and reach. Up high. Here we get 10 of these. This is 9. 8. You hear a lot of breathing from me. It's going to be hard to explain these ones. So when I make those initial pointers, okay, it's important you try to reinforce those. So arms up, nice and high, until I have to rotate them. Keep them up high, lock out the elbows, palms up, thumbs out. Try to get those pinkies to touch overhead. Ooh. And back. 4. Reach. All right, 6 more. Nice and slow, no rushing. Halfway there. Okay, readjust if you need to. Elbows up high. Hands up, palms up, rotate. Overhead. Again, it's like you're going over a hurdle. It's like hurdles for hands here. But we're really working on the shoulders. 4 more. Up nice and high on that internal rotation on the back. 3 more. Oof. 2 more. Reach overhead. Holding up for the last one. And up high. Good. Arms down the side. Press up. Oh, little child's pose here. Loosening up. So depending on where you're tight, and this is the thing too, is it's even if you are not tight doing this, finding the end range of motion is relative. So if you're more flexible, you're able to find, if you've got better mobility, get into a greater range of motion than what I can, right? Being able to do that easily in any of these, that's really going to be the principle with any of these. If you can do them easily, you're not doing it properly, because even if you've got poor mobility, great mobility, find that end range of motion, it's going to be equally as difficult for both of you. It just looks like people with poor range of motion struggle more in this because they find it sooner. Okay, so coming back into a scorpion, but we're going to work on a little PNF through the chest. So in the scorpion that we did at the beginning, we were getting some dynamic rotations. Now what I want to do, start on this side here, is the hand that's up overhead, I'm going to be pushing it into the ground. So I get my 1 foot over. If you can get your foot flat on the ground, go for it. We're not really focusing too much on the spine, but I want to push the hand into the ground. And I push that hand into the ground, in through the nose, and then exhale and pick up some slack. I'm going to come on to the other side. Arm comes up overhead, rotate, press both hands into the ground, but it's the top hand overhead that we're working on here. Press down, inhale, and come back. Okay, so on this one now, when we're finding these end ranges, it's more finding the activation. Inhale, push. Exhale, come back down. It's finding that tension point. So it's a little different than the active or the end range that we were doing in the last one, where you have to lift up. Here we're pressing in. Inhale, push. Creating some space through the shoulders. 6 more. Inhale, push. Exhale. Inhale, push. You got the rhythm. Four more. Inhale, push. Last 2. Inhale, push. Inhale and push. Good. All right, that gets our shoulders from the floor routine. Oh, I'm sweating more in this than I did in the warm-up portion. Okay, so as we move into the hips now, we're going to go into a couple different, we're going to start first kneeling on these, and you need to get access to the ground, or to the floor. You need to get access to the wall. All right, access to the wall so you can push. Okay, you don't want that to move. You also don't want you moving. So if you've got a mat, you got to make sure your mat's not sliding as you are standing. So clearing some space just out in front of me here, because this is where my foot is going to go. I've done these in the past before. I call them hip hurdles. I want to think about, without shifting my weight left and right, without rotating my torso, I want to lift, open the hip, think about my heel coming to my heel, lift up high, imagining there's a hurdle here, up high, over, and then tap the ground without resting. Tap the ground, lift that foot up, back over the hurdle, come back to center. Okay, so we'll do a couple on the one side just to get that feeling down. And I don't need to be on too steep of an angle. I want to be upright, okay, but I also want to be leaning into this so that if I weren't, I'd be falling forwards. Okay, so let's go out, up, foot, coming here. So again, if you're more mobile, you might have to lift up higher. I'm focusing on not moving my torso, exclusively moving through the hip. No excessive extension through the spine. 3, up high. 2, up high. And 1. Oh, I feel my toes. Try not to curl the toes. And a little excessive rotation there. So it starts to get a little bit fatigued, and that's fine, but we want to work on no excessive extension, no rotation through that trunk. Okay, other side. 5 reps on the other side here, getting set up. Open, so think heel to heel, up high, over the hurdle, and then step forwards without resting. Up high, over and back. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And that sequence is, I inhale as I lift up, exhale at the top, and then inhale as I lift up, exhale at the bottom. One more. Good. All right. So now we're going to alternate. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to alternate. So we're going to go from left to right on this one. So pressing in through the wall, leaning into the wall, back is straight. Okay, knees underneath the hips, so I'm not allowing my hips to sag here. I want to be tall. Inhale, up, and back down. Other side, inhale, up. Catching myself. I'm starting to get, especially on that left side, focus on not excessively extending through the spine. Getting fatigued here in the hips, can feel it. Four more. Open. Step. Left side, last 2. Oh, down. Okay, that gets sneaky. So we find those end ranges. We've done a couple. We've mixed these two together. The PNF, the active stretching like we did in the scorpion there, pushing into the ground, and then finding the end range. Some of these, this is a FRC or functional range conditioning that we're working on, finding that full range of motion. But again, the idea is similar, is we are finding our end ranges through activation, not passively stretching, okay, and not just going through a comfortable range of motion. We want to get into an uncomfortable position. So we're going to stand up. We've got 2 more here. Next one we're going to do, okay, little bird wings. So the bird wings, we want to get hands just like we were doing in that prone swimmer, up as high as you can. I've got a little diamond shape here with the hands. And the first thing I want to do is I want to push both elbows forwards as far as I can. And I want to drive into that internal rotation for 3, 2, 1. And then I relax, but I pick up the slack by lifting my hands up a little bit higher on the back. Okay, so I want to push the elbows forwards. Inhale for 3, 2, 1, and then get the hands up a little bit higher. So what's important here, someone who, and we stay here just for a second, just fall into this position, is someone who's hypermobile, especially with shoulders. You've got to be able to find tension through the joint. And when I find tension through the joint, this is not just ratcheting the joint into a position where it could pop out of the socket, right? I want to find that tension through the muscles, not and all the soft tissue, not just tension of someone trying to pop the shoulder out. And if you're hypermobile, you'll understand what I'm saying. If you're not, don't worry, you're not going to get there. But it's really important because this is something where we want to stretch, it's not the ligaments that we're getting after here. We want to get all the soft tissue, so the muscle, the fascia, yes, the ligaments to a certain extent, but you can't be leveraging those ligaments. So we want to find a high position with the hands, pressing the elbows forwards, in through the nose, press forwards, and exhale. A little bit higher up. In through the nose. Exhale. Okay, my hands are pretty much as high as they'll go, so I'll stay here for the next 5. In through the nose, press. 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 3 more. If you can lift them up, keep going. Press. Last 2. Press. Last 1. And relax. Okay, it doesn't feel like a lot, but especially those of you that have trouble getting into this overhead position, right? Because we're so tight in through the front of the shoulder capsule especially, which is going to allow you to get those arms back. Really important part for safely pressing overhead. All right, the next part, I'm going to use the rig here for it. This is the last one. You can hold on. Anything that you can hold on to will be helpful, but whatever you can bear hug, and I'll demonstrate so you know what I mean here. But what I'm going to do here is pull this rig down, and we're going to go into a similar stretch that we were just doing when we did the kneeling hurdles, right? But I'm gonna hold on to this. I'm gonna lean into it a little bit. So this is my ideal position here because I want to focus on the hip. Now, if you can't bear hug something, which is fine, you can still hold something. So whether that's a door frame, a table, whatever that is, we're gonna finish on this one. It's a little goofy, but you'll see, and well, you'll feel how it might work for you. So I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to hold on to it. I want to lift my knee up as high as I can, and I want to externally rotate it. So I want to think, open up as far as I can, keep my heel underneath the knee. Then I'm going to internally rotate through the hip without leaning away. That's why I'm holding on to this, so I'm not leaning away. I want to internally rotate, lift that up, and then come back down, keeping the knee up. And then I want to try and externally rotate as much as I can, which is pretty much a straight down position here, and then continue this. Okay, I'm going to do 5 reps on the one side. 3, 2. Okay, and I'm rotating through the hip here. I'm not moving at the hip. This makes sense. I'm rotating in through the hip. In, external, out, and then back down. God. Okay, you do that properly. All right, that's a tough feeling. And we've warmed up the hips already quite a bit, but if you were to start with this one first, it would just feel like you are grinding in through the joint. You might be, but it's also because we've not created that space by loosening up the surrounding soft tissue. So this is a good one I like to finish with after you've warmed up. If you do it right away, okay, it's not gonna feel great. Next part, our next side, lift that leg up. Okay, leaning into it a little bit here. Up and rotate. Nice and high. Now I'm not, the tendency is you're gonna wanna rotate with the hips. You wanna avoid that. I wanna keep that exclusively in through the leg and then come back up, rotate externally, rotate, and back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down. Whew. Okay, we're gonna do, it's because that was the best one. My best one, I mean. One that has, I find, the biggest impact. I wish I did this one while I was playing football and still doing running, but never too late to start. Okay, other side, we're gonna do the last set here, 5 and 5 on each one. Focus on not getting, okay, when I talk about, we're moving through the hips. So we're moving the leg, right? Not rotating the pelvis. And you want to avoid any excessive extension. Really, the only way to find out if you're doing this is to watch yourself doing it. And if you're unsure, film yourself and send it to me. Okay, so I'm leaning into it. Bear hug, perpendicular, up nice and high. Knee is at hip height, internal rotation. Find that end range. 4, 3, 2, last one here. 1. Feels so good. Sort of like eating spicy food. Kind of live through the pain to love it. Okay, other side. Open up, internally rotate. Keep that leg out to the side. Gotta remind myself. 3. 4. All right, it gets ugly on that side. Trying to control it. But when we do more of these, we'll get better. Whew. Our hips. Feels good through the hips. Didn't do a lot through the ankles, so it doesn't necessarily help the squat that much. But if you are running, doing anything else active, especially sitting, actually, this one is a great one. What you do to help improve your running helps improve sitting. And again, when I say helps improve sitting, helps you become more tolerant to it. But good thing to jump into throughout the day if you are sitting a lot. See you in the next one. Get ready to get mobile.